We should probably start the show, and we still, to this day, don't know how to do it. It's still...
It's fine, you know. You don't really want to have a way to do this.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I just end up pressing a button, and then it happens, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the way to do it. You just, at some point, it happens.
Yeah. Do you know when that point's going to be?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's right now.
Oh, nice. That's cool. When did that start to happen?
I don't know.
Where's that from? Huh.
Oh, that is an original piece. Well, it's not an original piece. Actually, I'm not gonna tell you where that's from because I had the same I had the same revelation at one point, and my mind was blown.
It'll blow your mind. It's gonna blow your mind.
You'll probably, yeah. But hello, everyone, and welcome back to Runeterrable Radio, episode 14. We've had a wacky pre-show, and it's all a wacky pre-show always means a great episode. And
every time.
And I can guarantee you, even if we didn't have a wacky pre-show, that we were going to have a great episode regardless, because we are joined by the founder of Mobalytics, Uthgar. Welcome, buddy.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting me on.
Thank you for being
here. I've been here before, Jack.
Yes. Well, actually, I mean, I've been humble bragging that we've known each other for a long time.
Years.
Like
we have
in esports time.
That's an eternity.
We've been like, if we're converting to esports years, we've probably known each other for about 20 years in esports time. When really it's, man, I'm trying to think. It was, when did you guys win TechCrunch? That was 2016.
Yeah. So that was 2016, September of 2016.
September of 2016, and
So it's been over 3 years.
Yeah.
We met at that BlizzCon. Was that the BlizzCon we met at? Oh, yeah, so it was the
September
Sombra one. You're right.
Yeah.
I thought it was the one after that, so you were right. Yep.
Wow.
There you go.
So...
because that was 2016 with Sombra, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. Long story short, it's been a long time in esports years. I mean, so this is a long time coming. We're here talking about Legends of Runeterra. Of course, thank you everyone for being here, and thank you Uthgar for being here, and of course, thank you Saucy Mailman, my co-host.
Oh, I'm here too.
It's we're going way off the rails, and that is okay.
It's been a day, but you know it's fine. That's fine. It has been a week. Yes.
So we're just gonna take all that and we're gonna push it into a great episode. So
yep.
If you're unfamiliar with Mobalytics, you probably haven't played Legends of Runeterra, and I don't know why you're not. why you're listening to a Legends of Runeterra podcast. Yeah. It probably, if you're watching this live, it probably says RDT not connected right now on the screen.
Yeah, sorry about that. We can't detect it. I mean, maybe it does actually. If you're not running the game, it shouldn't say that. That's because streamers need to play other games, so I mean, let me check. I'm gonna check. Well, now I'm curious.
Now I'm gonna turn. Now I'm just gonna run the game just so that it says it just to troll people.
No, don't do that.
It'll just show your team of burn deck.
The engineer behind we had the story of RDT is a funny one. There was just so many nightmares involved in creating it. So, I mean, we basically were trying to work with Riot to build something right out the gates that would have a Twitch extension. And these are guys that have pressing deadlines which involve actually game functions working on release, right? So, I mean, the team was great, and we managed to put a lot of stuff together. But there was just stuff we couldn't test, because how do you test streaming a game that people shouldn't know about and understand that it's working while you're waiting for launch? You can't. You have like a hidden code, and you test, and you ever looked at everything from the inside? You can't understand how things are working if you look at stuff from the inside, because you have, this color. Like if someone from another planet comes one day and tells you like this is the color blue, you said this has always been black to me, and so I don't understand why you think it's blue, but they could have a completely different perspective that has nothing to do with you.
Right.
And so part of the process was actually installing the app, getting it to run, connecting it, and we had so much. I was on Twitch all day, like making donations to some of the bigger streamers so that they would see my message and log in, because we had a login issue. Our servers were down. It was truly outrageous in the words of, who says that? Tarek says that in League of Legends. Truly outrageous. Yeah. And our engineer, poor guy, he's on the other side of the world, and this guy was staying up all night trying to figure this stuff out, releasing patch after patch and trying to work through that. But finally, right now, I think almost no one has problems with RDT, which makes me really happy. And but at the beginning, it was not like that, and it was scrambling all over the place trying to get people's stuff connected. It was just, not fun.
I remember watching the Toast and like Skara streams, and I see like donation for 500 bits from Uthgar. Hi, I'm the guy from Mobalytics. Can you turn RDT? I remember randomly seeing that.
Well, because there's several different steps that the person has to go through to make it work, right?
Right.
And step number 1 is they have to make sure that the extension is installed through Twitch.
Yes.
Right? That's step 1. Like, I have to make sure that the extension is installed through Twitch. Step 2, I have to make sure I have this separate app, which we've included as part of the installation process, installed through Mobalytics that runs in my background system tray. And I have to be logged in so that app can speak to my Twitch account.
Right.
So getting people setting that up with like the limited like testing that we had and getting people to actually to do that were two different stories.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we could have done a much better job in hindsight, but hindsight is like 2020, right? So I mean, it's not really the fairest thing.
I think from the consumer standpoint, yes, all those things were there, and that, I mean, I consider myself what may be professionally called a dum-dum, and I figured it out.
Me too, by the way. Can I join this club?
Yes, we've got old man APM and jungling skills. But to me, I mean, I'm just personally always giddy whenever I see Mobalytics doing something new because, you know, I know you and I've known you for a while. But personal bias aside, one of the things when we talk about Hearthstone, I mean, Hearthstone has HS Replay and the app associated with that, and like Magic Arena is now kind of getting that. Magic Online never had any of that. And that's where I came from originally. But like, you know, a new game comes out.
They have the Untapped one now, right?
MTG
like
Arena does,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. But Magic Online, the original client, the one that's from like 1997, never had anything like that, and never even. It's probably against the TOS to have something like that. But you know, I don't even know how long it was into Hearthstone before we had a tracker of any kind, because it's not something that we thought of. I mean, when I was back in 2014, when I was in like the heyday of it, like that wasn't even like a thing you thought of, because it's just like, well, the deck, isn't that kind of like cheating? And it's like, well, now you think about it, it's like, well, yeah, I just get to see my deck, so I don't have to take a screenshot of it, and like I can see what I've drawn. So and like, to me, when I see, you know, Runeterra comes out and there's already the app, I'm like, in the preview event, I'm like, what? That is insane. And the deck tracker and the web app to be able to look at all the cards and deck build. It's like, to me, you might take it for granted as someone, like you said, from the inside seeing that, but like, to me, that was just crazy to have that, like, the day of it being like, even, like, forget the complications or whatever. Like, it was insane that happened. So kudos to you and the team for that. That was just crazy.
Yeah, big shout out to Riot. They worked with us and that was the goal from the launch, to make sure. I think we live in this world now where the forever game is popular, right? In the last 10 years of gaming have changed. Like I bet all of us were single player heroes back in the day.
Sure.
We'd go through different single player games on our PlayStation, and we'd play them, and we'd be happy, right?
Yeah.
And then we'd pick up a new one. That's how we grew up. But now it's like I play League. I play World of Warcraft. I play Hearthstone. Whatever it is that's your forever game, right? And so how do you get someone to go from one forever game to another, right? And especially when they have all their online credence invested in there, when they have everything that they want invested in that place, right? So you have a moat to cross. And that moat means it's not just in-game stuff. Like if you saw on Reddit, people were complaining the import function isn't the greatest. People were complaining that these things aren't the greatest, right? People were complaining a lot of different stuff. And the game just came out, just like you said. So we're so accustomed to having different things that we don't stop to think like how much effort goes into those things and how many of them have accumulated over a long period of time. Right? And so, but that's not the consumer's problem. That's not the player's problem, right?
Sure.
The player is just wants what they want, and they don't give a shit at the end of the day, right? And so, and for the game company, they have to say like, okay, we need to make sure we fix X, Y, Z, right? And how do we fix X, Y, Z? Well, we bring in these guys to make sure that the moat's easier to cross, because now you have a deck tracker, now you have a Twitch extension to help me understand the game. Just different things like that, right? And that's super, super helpful in the short term, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's super important.
Yeah, it is crazy to think how much we got and we have now from Runeterra. Like, think of remember how revolutionary it was to have deck codes for Hearthstone? Like, and deck codes for Hearthstone still are weird, but
they're long.
And also deck codes for MTGA are a joke compared to Runeterra and even Hearthstone. But it's like we didn't have that stuff back then. Like,
but now it's expected.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I just need it immediately copied to my clipboard, and when I hit import, it just does it immediately, which it does, which is crazy. It's crazy that that's the case, and that like you can do that with Mobalytics. Okay, I want to take a step back here because I know we've been going deep into Runeterra deck tracker, and we've obviously talked a lot about Mobalytics, but let's take a step back and Uthgar, tell us a little bit about what sort of Mobalytics is at a bigger scale, what you sort of started Mobalytics off as, and where you're kind of coming from the company side.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Excuse me. So, I'm just a guy who really likes to play a lot of games. That's
me too.
Honestly, yeah. And one of the things that I became, and I used to play really, really hard, really, really often when I was younger. And, I was doing my PhD in biomedical engineering with a focus on human performance physiology. And I kind of realized that I enjoyed playing a lot and being competitive. I was playing WoW for Fnatic, and I've played many games competitively, like, and I'm always trying to get the highest rank I can. Like, I'm master in Runeterra, despite my best senses telling me not to do it. But anyway, but I found I was more fascinated in understanding what made people great, and then I was always making tools for our guild in WoW to raid. Like, how do you measure DPS? How do we become more efficient as a guild? How do we do X, Y, and Z, right? And what I realized is that now I have a chance. I met my co-founder Bogdan. I was trying to analyze performance with scientific tools when I was doing my PhD. I got fascinated by that. And so I was trying to make the most high-end thing, like using heart rate monitors and blood pressure monitors and eye tracking to understand what made a player great. And then I realized, like, I'm never going to be able to get this to person's house in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah.
And what can we do? What tools can we create for the average person so that they can enjoy the game and have a better experience? The things that I didn't get to have. And that's when I met my co-founder Bogdan at TwitchCon, and he told me like, why don't you just use regular data, man? Why do you gotta be so hardcore? I said, okay, let's try it, and we did. And as you mentioned, John, like we entered into TechCrunch at the very last minute, and by some miracle we won, and we had the great opportunity to be able to start our company. And the main mission, we have just one really simple mission. It's to be the best gaming companion for gamers. That's it. And we want you to have the best experience possible, whether you're a casual person or whether you're an end core gamer. We can't do that all at once, so we have to go through steps, but we want to give you the information you need and want at precisely the moment in time that you need or want it. That's our ultimate goal. And if you want to think of it in a fancy way, you think of Jarvis from Iron Man, right? And that headset, basically like it analyzes everything around you, tells you what you need to be doing, and it knows you. Maybe in the future it can talk to you in a sexy voice, but we're not there yet.
If you're looking for voice actors for that, I know one, and you're talking to him right now.
There we go. We've got the male sexy voice locked and loaded.
Female sexy voice.
The voice of Mobalytics.
Okay, I like it. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and to me, like, I just remember I was on. I'm telling. I've said this on other shows. I've said this on other shows that I've done. But for those of you who are like into gaming and esports and like want to like either meet people or like network with people, the hidden gem, and this is gonna sound stupid, LinkedIn. Telling you,
really,
people people in gaming and esports are on LinkedIn. I think we maybe we didn't meet on LinkedIn, but
I don't think we did. I barely go on LinkedIn. I should go more.
We might not have, but I'm on LinkedIn for my day job. So it's like now I get like there's a lot of people. I won't go too deep into it. I'm just saying there's a little that's
the hot snippet.
There's your little hot snippet. Your little that's a Mobalytics life fact right there for you. Not actually sponsored by Mobalytics.
So tell me, how do you dodge the esports consultant on LinkedIn? Right, like there's a lot of pretenders because esports became a hot field, right?
Yeah, I get those people all the time, and that's fine. Those people come, and I get YouTuber at YouTube. That happens all the time. I get gamer at Twitch. You mean Slasher? No, I did not meet Slasher on LinkedIn.
Okay, I met Slasher at the tournaments I used to play at a long time ago.
Yeah,
he was just as wild back then as he is now. But
yeah, Slasher has never changed.
A long time ago. Yeah, it was really something phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not going to go into my when I've met Slasher stories. That'll be for a different time. We only have so much time on this show. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool. Okay, we're getting wildly off topic, and that's great. But I'm going to get us back a little bit into Runeterra.
Okay.
So you've obviously mentioned you've played Hearthstone, League, a number of other competitive games. For Legends of Runeterra specifically, where does this sort of stack up in your mind in terms of competitively viable, fun, just in general? How does Runeterra stack up to you?
I mean, I can't tell you how much I love the game, guys. I mean, I'm not just saying that because we make a product. It's a fucking amazing game. Yeah. It's so tight. You can see everything was thought through, well crafted. Mm-hmm. I mean, personally, my favorite part is the voice lines. I don't know if you guys spend the time.
Oh, like, yeah.
How Draven interacts with Teemo, how Garen interacts with anything. Garen's like my favorite.
What the just like always is that?
How did you do that? How do you bleep on?
That's my voice. I can do that with my voice.
You just get at it.
What the?
God, okay. Get out of here. That was cool though. You had me go. But
see, it's
the
really
voice lines are amazing.
Yeah,
they're amazing, and you have these interactions. Like if you notice, when you put a unit to defend, it has a line. When you put it to defend, it has a different line. Yep. And every unit has those lines. Like you have interactions between Tiana, Crown Guard, and Lux. You have interactions between the Mage Seekers and Lux, and it's so crafted with love, right? Yeah. That's my favorite part of the game. I when it was in early access, like early beta. Fans and Family, which we got to be a part of. It was amazing, but it would crash every time you opened art. Like there was a high chance, and I would still open the art in the game because it's just that great. And then the gameplay is so tight.
Yeah.
It feels like the perfect mix between the Hearthstone, you've got this easy to understand system, and then Magic's complexity and depth, and the way you can outplay. Here, I like to outplay people with spells and stuff. It doesn't, no mechanics required, and just the diversity in the factions. I think if you look at it in a negative way, people will say like, "Oh my God, it's all Hecarim or Shadow Isles," but that is not even remotely true. We have data that shows that Hecarim isn't even the top. Like out of the top 10 decks, there's one Hecarim. Right? Runs Hecarim as a staple. So it's just every faction has strengths, weaknesses, and it's just really amazing to play. So I love the game. I'm very excited to see where the team will take it. It seems like it's extremely competitively viable, and it's beautiful, and it's great to watch, and it's great to play. It has enough of everything.
Yeah, one thing that I see a lot of people talk about when we're talking about like esports and card games in general is that a lot of card games are not as easy for someone to kind of watch on an entertaining level, like sitting in stands like you would with like Counter-Strike. How do you feel like Legends of Runeterra stacks up with, games like watching League of Legends live or something like that?
Do you guys think Hearthstone's hard to watch?
Hearthstone, it's not hard to watch. I think people, like if you're really into Hearthstone, it's not hard to watch. Like you enjoy it. It is slower. I think it's slower paced than this game is, but like someone who doesn't play the game wouldn't stop and watch it. Like if you're at DreamHack, for instance, and you have the Hearthstone stage here and you have any other esport going on here, like the other stage is going to be bigger. Do you think that this game could, like, graphically or entertaining or what it is, do you think that this has the ability to kind of pull people who don't play the game in to watch it?
Absolutely. I think so. Absolutely. Can you imagine like kind of like a final? I've had so many close games myself, right?
Yeah.
That have been just fucking nail biters, right? Like down to that 1 HP, that mattered, man.
Oh yeah.
And I managed to come back and swing back and get and then play the deny into the deny at the end, or play the judgment, or anything, or play the clever buff spell in the units that weren't blocked. So there's just so much that you have the ability to do, and watching that is going to be no less entertaining, because I think the beauty of card games is the crowd knows what the other guy doesn't.
Yeah.
Right.
And so is he going to play around that or not? Right? That's definitely one of the questions here that they're going to ask. Is he going to play around that? And so for me, that's super exciting. And I think there's no doubt in my mind that it can be. My question is, why hasn't everyone switched from Hearthstone to this already? Right? And I'm part of it's because I feel like Hearthstone's a mobile, it has a different audience, and they just haven't released it. And they don't have a Chinese version and a lot of different stuff, right? And I think that one of the things that's shocked me is actually how popular Hearthstone's Battlegrounds mode is. I don't know if I tried to get into it, but it seemed much less what's the word? Deep than TFT or the original auto chess. So I was pretty confused by that. But is there a doubt in my mind that in a year and a half, 2 years, this will be the lion's share of competitive card games? Magic will always be there, but like, will it phase out Hearthstone? I think so. I could be wrong, but that's my hypothesis, right?
Yeah. The only thing that keeps me from thinking that Hearthstone won't go out in a considerable way is that very, very strong presence, and that's just called sunken cost fallacy.
Like, that's probably why most people haven't switched, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a legitimate thing. Every single stream I get someone who's like, man, I play this, but I've spent so much money on Hearthstone. It literally happened like yesterday.
Yeah.
And like, I've spent so much, I can't see myself playing. And I'm always like, well, the thing is, like, you can just play this game, not spend any money, and get in a full collection in about a month without spending any extra money.
They really went to great lengths to make sure that the system they had was fair and I know they have catch-up mechanics. So if you like join later in the set, or in set 2 you'll be able to catch up because you're gate limited. Yeah, so they plan on introducing those catch up mechanics. So I mean, this is a very well studied thesis of the market, with a certain philosophy that's being applied, and it's a philosophy I think that any self-respecting gamer can get behind. And to me, that's what makes it so powerful, right?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people. For a lot of people right now, it's like shock because it's like, well, I just want to buy the whole thing now. It's like, yeah, and like I personally am in the position where I can do that, but like let's think about the people who can't or don't want to or aren't able to do that, and let's think about like the mindset that we'll be in 2 years or whatever. Like this, that's what I think. Like the one part about Runeterra that really sells it for me is like there's a lot of very clear gameplay decisions that were made by people who have very clearly played at high level Magic events, which didn't see a lot of that in Hearthstone. Like there are people who have played at high level events and have played and are very good at card games that are on the Hearthstone team, but their decisions are so molded by the constraints of Hearthstone that like you can't always tell that. And also like there are things that are just completely counter to that, like Uthgar and other random garbage. Where like Runeterra, it's like the things that are different from Hearthstone or from Magic the Gathering are done done for a very specific reason, and they've all felt good so far. And then the other thing is like Riot is not, at least what they've done so far, they're not trying to like, okay, well let's capitalize on this card game craze. It's like, yeah, that was 4 years ago that the card game craze was. It's not now. This is, they're taking they're taking the feedback from everyone's making a digital card game now and actually iterating on that and looking out years ahead, not just like, okay, what can we get from it right now?
Yeah, exactly.
That's huge for me.
Yeah, and they really have a player first driven philosophy.
Yeah.
Like we've had a lot of chance to interact with the team, and I mean, at the end of the day, do you want the most important card in a card game to be the credit card? Like, is that really what we aim for in competitive games? I mean, I know it's great to collect them and to do that. Unfortunately, I didn't grow up in a place where people played Magic, so I never got that feeling.
Yeah.
And I switched my Hearthstone game from NA to EU and then back to NA because I moved across the globe twice and to play with different friends. So I spent tons of money. And, I did it because I wanted to, but it never felt good. I didn't say like, wow, I feel great doing this. It just felt like the cost of doing business. Right. When you walk away from a meeting, it's like, that's the cost of doing business. It leaves an ugly taste in your mouth. And so here we're in this place where we don't have to have that. And people will complain. That's fine because people don't like what's different. And they always are afraid of what's new. But at the end of the day, this is going to be something fundamentally powerful for all of those people that actually, want to have a great card game experience and play competitively without having those wings attached. And that'll bring more people to the competitive scene, and that'll make it even more of a easy thing to get into and to watch.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
I hope.
Yeah, I mean, we're all hoping for that for sure.
Yeah.
It also helps that the game's just fun. I mean, it's still early.
Yeah. If you watch like Alan's Q's stream or you watch Mogwai's stream, those guys don't know when to quit. They just don't want to. They're like, I'm having so much fun. And I was talking to Alan's the other day, and he said like, when I was playing TFT, like by the time we were somewhere in set 2, I was struggling to get in my 6 hours.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And then finally, now when I play this game, I'm like, yo, I can't stop.
Yeah.
He played like a 29-hour stream, and he's like, my girlfriend's always mad at me. Mogwai says his girlfriend's always mad at him, right? So
yeah.
So it's just fundamentally, it's just fun, and the team made a great game, so I'm good with it, man.
Yeah, it's super fun, but we can talk the praises of Runeterra for hours. So let's move on to the important questions here.
Yeah, we have the very important questions. So first off, probably the most important question you're going to answer this month.
Lay it on me.
What is your favorite board and favorite guardian?
Ooh, I am currently running the Demacian Silver Wing, which they toned down the amount it talks, thank God. And the Demacia board.
Okay.
Part of me wants to buy the Garen board, but I don't like. The art hasn't sold me yet on the Garen board. I'm a big Garen fan. I just like his whole for justice, whatever. Yeah. We do what is right, like whatever. There's this great line when he comes in and there's the Demacian Vanguard, and the Vanguard says, "Captain Ground Guard, sir." And he says, "Please call me Garen." And it reminds me of those Saturday morning cartoons where you had Captain America or Cyclops, and it just felt great, So for me, those are some of the most important things actually in the game, right? And Garen is my favorite. I'm considering buying the Demacian board, but I think the Gloom Shark and the Shadow Isles board looks sexy as fuck. Yeah. So I can't turn. And a lot of people seem to think that the minion is actually gold, right? Like the minion.
Buy the minion today.
Yeah. So
I haven't gotten him yet.
He's pretty powerful. Like they definitely put you can kind of tell these new ones they're putting out. They're putting a little extra elbow grease into these ones.
But none of they still don't have epic and legendary League of Legends. So I'm like, what the first legendary board is going to be? That's going to be insane.
And how do we get it? Is it just coins, or do we
Yeah, I think you just buy it. I see. They will give stuff like that. Like if League is anything to stand by, they will give stuff from ranked for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question, because this is also important. What are your top 3 favorite and least favorite cards currently in the game?
Oh man. Okay. Top 3 favorite cards. Garen. Just because, and now you notice all those streamers are starting to use Garen. That Bruised by God has a Garen deck. Everyone's trying to run a Garen deck. People underestimate the Garen. He's just a big, fat, dumb guy. He comes and doesn't do anything when you play him. Just play Hecarim, right? And I agree. I mean, he definitely has his strengths and weaknesses. But let me tell you, do not underestimate the Garen.
Have you ever
regeneration?
Regeneration, and have you ever attacked on your opponent's turn as well? Because it's pretty good.
Also, really exactly. So Garen is definitely one of my favorites. I like the whole Cythria arc, right? Yes. I don't know if that makes sense, but the whole Cythria arc is really, really cool. And for me, it's just super cool to see her evolution from a 1 cost to the Squire to Cythria the Bold.
Yeah.
Let's move out of Demacia for another great unit. Let me think. I love the Noxious units too.
Yeah.
Darius is pretty cool, and just he's just such a strong finisher. But most of my climb was with a very aggressive Noxious Demacia deck that most people don't run, that me and Prohibit kind of worked on together. And basically what it had was him as a finisher, right? Darius as a finisher, but it was very early. Radiant Strike, War Chefs, Quick Attack, all sorts of aggro into a finisher. And my other favorite, I love cards that I don't get that much use. I try and build decks around them. Battering Ram, Kato the Arm.
Oh, nice.
Those kind of cards are just, to me, they're super flavorful, super fun, and I just like to make decks that make those kind of cards work. I think I have a Battering Ram deck with Katarina, and I feel like it can be oppressive if that condition triggers, which is almost never. I usually end up just winning earlier on with Zed, so that the deck works. But those are my favorite. Battering Ram, Garen, Cythria, and probably Captain Ferran is pretty cool too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How about least favorite? Who do
least
you hate?
favorite?
Who do you hate?
Everyone hates Teemo. I mean, come on, guys. That's Yasuo.
I gotta go.
I don't hate Yasuo. I love Yasuo actually. So
Saucy's
I don't
the biggest
like
Teemo fan. Saucy is actually, if Saucy was a card, it would be Teemo's biggest fan, and he would put Teemo.
Really? What do you like about Teemo, man? We got to stop and we got to talk about this. It's important.
So, coming from Magic the Gathering, one of my favorite cards is Delver of Secrets. And Teemo, to me, feels very much like Delver of Secrets, where he's a 1-drop that puts on so much pressure can end the game on his own if he's not dealt with. And also, he just, if your opponent has a Vengeance and you play Teemo, they have to use the Vengeance on him so you can play something better.
Yeah, he does. He is. There are a couple of cards that really draw aggro like a magnet, and Teemo is one of them. Battlesmith is another one of those cards.
True.
Yeah. But Okay, so from a functional perspective, I got no problems with Teemo. Zero. I just it just doesn't associate with my character. I can't like a guy who puts mushrooms and scouts at
I love it.
Yeah, not my thing, man. It's just I gotta
it's also
take a
like
hard pass.
it was in like the first closed beta or the second closed beta. Blevins and I share this where we played a lot of Teemo decks.
Yes.
And I just wanted I was trying to just put as many mushrooms because I love that as a win condition, like do nothing and eventually like make them draw a million mushrooms. I love that.
It is cool. It is cool. I can't.
It never happens, but it's cool.
Yeah, it never works, but
it's a terrible.
I can't disagree, guys. I can't disagree. It's super cool.
It's okay. You can hate Teemo. It's okay.
Let me see. What other cards do I hate? I hate playing against. I used to hate like the Raza thing, but it's not that bad. I don't hate Hecarim that much. I don't lose often to Hecarim. I feel like most of the decks I run have good ways of dealing with Hecarim.
Mm-hmm.
I love Ashe and Tryndamere decks, so I don't hate them. I don't hate too much, to be honest. I think just really annoying cards that just make my life miserable. Ezreal. Well, he kind of makes my life.
That's my boy.
Yeah.
Ezreal. What do you think? What do you think about Elnux? How do you feel about the Elnux package?
I feel like Riot's probably going to change that. It just feels so out of place in this game. There's no RNG except that. Do you remember, like in old school Hearthstone, how much RNG there was? Like when it was in beta, there was Ragnaros.
Yeah.
There was Knife Juggler.
Yep.
Sylvanas.
And there was Sylvanas. And then there's one more. Hold on, guys. What is the last one? The guy, Tinkmaster Overspark.
Oh, right. Well, no, he didn't.
He was targetable.
Oh no, he was.
He targeted.
That's right. Well, he targeted, but he would give you. He would make either a 1/1 or a 5/5.
That is correct. Yeah. So sometimes you turn the thing into a dinosaur, and it was like not fun. But for the most part, like if you controlled him right, it was a net positive because you were turning something more dangerous into something less dangerous. But then this only has Elnux. Like what other RNG effects are there? I guess there is one more thing. I'm trying to remember what it is.
The Punk Pickpocket.
Yeah, Karma generates cards too.
That's true.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of that, but I mean it's not
I win the game on the spot because I played a troop and filled my board.
Yeah. And Karma only lasts like X turns, right? It's like, you can't get infinite casino generation out of her.
Right.
So I would definitely say I don't think there's that much going on in the terms of RNG, right? And so Elnux definitely feel out of place. I don't hate them. I don't like them. The only card that I can say that I really hate is probably Teemo and maybe Boom Crew Rookie. I just don't like. I use him in my decks, but like that guy is overstated as fuck, dude. And I don't.
He is.
And he's annoying. He's like, it's my first mission. Well, fuck you and your first mission, dude. Like that's not
every
my
mission
problem.
is.
Yeah, that sounds like a personal problem that it's your first mission. And he takes 2 off your nexus. You can't, it doesn't matter. And he has 4 health. It's like
he's hard to kill.
What's his name that got nerfed that pumps guys in your hand, the 1-drop? I can't think of the name.
Inspiring Mentor.
He pisses me off.
Time for tea. What does he say? Something about tea. Have a tea.
Fetch me tea to gain the strength of rivers. Like, he pisses me off because it's like he's just like he's just giving out these orders like, oh god, one spring for each crab I saw today. Like he sounds like
these voices, man.
That's all I'm good at. He sounds like Professor Oak.
Yeah, he does.
It's great. Yeah, but I don't hate that. I don't hate elusives. They have their place. I feel like most things if you just think about like what you're gonna run and what you need to tech into your deck when you want to play against that, you probably have a pretty nominal solution, right? So that if you're not going to run stuff like Elixir of Iron, then you're going to be vulnerable to things like Piltover's removal because they have so much of it, right? And if you're not going to run like Purify and Capture or Vengeance or whatever, you're going to be vulnerable to like elusives, right? There's other ways to deal with elusive, obviously, but you just have to like understand that those are the things that make your deck better against those things, and if you don't want to lose against that, then you should run those things.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about this in the pre-show with Hecarim specifically, but I think it applies to elusives and other air quotes oppressive strategies in Runeterra, and I mean really in any card game, but obviously we're talking about Runeterra here. Is like the ladder kind of, there's a couple of things at play. I think the way that the ladder works is going to create a mindset of, oh well, this deck is broken because I can't counter it, because you're like only given what you have in the game. There is no meta game of the game that you're playing on the ladder. You have to just you've got what you went into it with, right? So you can't like, it's not 2 or 3 in like Magic where you can sideboard and actually have like you know.
But that's only the Magic's tournaments, right? Magic's ladder is the same, right? No.
Magic's ladder you can do 2 out of 3, but even like we're not even thinking about that. Like the ladder itself just kind of creates this, and like I think if we start to see, or when we start to see tournament play, like we're gonna see less like complaining about Hecarim, because when we start to see pro players who are building decks to tech against the Hecarim deck, like other pro players are gonna be like, oh, Hecarim's not actually that good. He's not actually broken because he can be countered.
Yeah,
and like,
I think a lot of the complaining comes from when something is good and it beats the specific deck that you want to play, and not wanting to choose to just play something that beats that deck. Like that's a lot of the complaining I see is like, oh, I hate Hecarim because it beats this one strategy I like playing. I'm like, well, you could just like play something that crushes Hecarim. Like it's not that big of a deal if you think about it like that.
I mean, he's a great unit. I mean, maybe he's tweakable, like lower a little bit of his stats. I don't think it would break the unit like either way. It's still very powerful, but like I think part of the reasons why I climbed with elusives is because Ionia just the tempo shits all over Hecarim.
Yeah.
Right? Basically, if you have a Will of Ionia, you just send him back to hand every time he's played.
Yep.
Right, for 4 mana for your cost, and Rekindler can't do anything about that.
Nope.
Right. So I think that definitely it's not like, oh, this card is invulnerable, right? But I mean, it's a strong card. There's a lot of strong cards. What's the big deal? It's a strong card, right? So yeah. I did realize what card I hate, by the way.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm excited.
I love it and hate it at the same time because it's so cool. But Bannerman. And in a 3-card, if I have 3 non-Demacia cards, somehow he finds a way twice in one game to not proc. So it does feel really bad. Yeah.
I found him and Wraithcaller seem to miss way more than anything
never work.
else.
Never work.
I've never played a Wraithcaller deck. It never interested me. It's just like everyone was playing it, and I don't like mirror matches.
Yeah, that's true. I just liked winning, so I play.
Yeah, that was a good one if you liked winning. So
someone in Silent Eric in chat is bringing up Arena Battlecaster, which I just have to like. I can do the voice of Arena Battlecaster too.
Oh, I haven't played with that unit.
Let's rock it!
Sorry.
Holy shit! How do you do that?
I'm telling you,
Voodoo
I've
witchcraft.
got a very robust voice box.
So I want to ask you a question.
Don't tell him, chat.
Yeah, it's fine. I want to ask you a question. So we don't often get people that have a lot of because I have like next to zero League of Legends knowledge. So I want to know, you as someone who actually has an abundance of League of Legends knowledge, what champions do you want to see added to Runeterra from League?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That aren't Garen.
Well, Garen is already in the game.
I know.
So I can't like.
Second
Garen's already in there. Second Garen would be nice, right? Let me just.
Garen.
I would like to see Twisted Fate because it's a card game. I would like to see Vi because she's one of my favorite champions. I would like to see Shyvana, Udyr. They're some of my favorite champions as well. So they're the champions I play. there's a lot of cool champions in League, man. It's like
Yeah.
there's a crazy amount of cool champions in League. So I think any one of those would bring me great joy.
Oh man, I want to see a Twisted Fate skin in League of Legends where he throws Runeterra cards.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
That would be super interesting, right?
Just like super.
That'd be meta.
Yeah, that'd be super meta.
Yeah.
That is pretty awesome. Okay, so what do we have for time? Okay, we got a little bit of time left for sure. So, I know we've been sort of referencing it a little bit, but we did get a new patch here. Not going to go too much into it. Maybe real quickly recap. We've got animations are now faster, and if you've played the game since the patch came out, boy, are they quick now, which is great. We got our little
turbo mode.
Yeah, yeah. We were saying Legends of Runeterra 2 Turbo, Turbo Tournament Edition. That would actually be sweet. We got our minion, which you talked about, the Jinx and Garen boards. I bought the Jinx board, by the way. It changes the music.
Oh, does it? Is it better?
Yeah,
music?
I heard that.
It's different music. I have not. It's nice to have something different, is what I'll say. When you've heard that same song over.
But the music
again.
is really good in the game, by the way. I listened to the soundtrack for a long time while I was working.
The soundtrack is
solid.
really good, and I would, you know what I would really love if there was a like an 80s synth pop version of the
like the theme song
of the. Sorry. But yeah, I'm wondering if the Garen one changes or not. But yeah, they've made some other changes. I'll post the link in the notes so you guys can read it.
Bunch of stuff.
No
Bug
card
fixes.
changes. No card changes. We'll when they do card changes, we will definitely be talking about those. Let's jump into. We kind of went over all of these organically, which is awesome.
So organic.
Let's just. There's a couple of like lightning round. We got some listener questions here, which we're gonna get through a few. Let's move on to those. Gray Jedi J asked, "Will a Mobalytics app be available this year?"
That's a cool name first. Gray Jedi J. That's cool.
Yeah.
And so we currently, because building a shell for overlay takes some time, so we currently have an app on the Overwolf platform, the deck tracker. So we do plan to have our own standalone application for people who prefer not to use that vehicle. And we do plan, I just got out of a meeting before this call that I'm actually going to go back to, but we whiteboarded the next set of features for the deck tracker.
Ooh.
And I think like eventually, obviously we want to make it as good as what's on Hearthstone deck tracker, right? I mean, that's a no-brainer. But we want to do it and we want to improve that as well, right? And we want to make sure that for people who want more, they can have more. And for people who just enjoy the basic experience, they can enjoy the basic experience. But we want to have the bells and whistles for the super serious person who's trying to climb, right? So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We've got a multifaceted.
What would you like to see? Actually, I would love to know from Gray. If he wants to send us a Discord, type it out. I'd love to hear what he would like to see more in the app.
Yeah, and if you guys listening after the fact want to put some suggestions or whatnot for Mobalytics, you can throw them right in the Discord, discord.me/Runeterrable radio, and we will get those.
Get them over.
We'll get them over. I don't know if you're in the Discord or not, Uthgar, but I'll send you the invite if you're not, and you can see those, or I can send them to you, whichever. But yeah, definitely really cool. Cosign. I've always got the Discord plug ready to go, no matter no matter what. So speaking of the Discord questions, Rumsey has a multifaceted question, so we'll kind of take this one piece by piece here. So this first part is interesting. So Rumsey asks, do you feel that a website such as Mobalytics shows too much or too little of the meta in a bottle? For instance, in Magic the Gathering right now, there's been a lot of data prevention for things like MTG Goldfish, which is a popular sort of meta collaboration site where people post deck lists and whatnot, and other websites that aren't allowed to skim results and post exact lists to extrapolate data for other popular games, in this case, Magic the Gathering. What are your thoughts on sort of the knowledge of the community to have for like data and stuff on decks like that?
I mean, this is a really, really good question, right? It's so interesting because data is a little bit like money. It's just a tool, right? You have people who are going to misuse it. You're going to have people who are going to draw absolutely horrendous conclusions from it, right? But at the end of the day, you want to be able to provide this information to enrich and to elevate the community and their ability to analyze the game. You know, it's not. I think it's not a good excuse to say like we used to play by hand in a cafe or whatever, and we didn't know what people on the other side of the world were playing, so it kept it fresh and exciting. The world's changed, and you can't just hide that information. And then the more you try and hide something, the more it comes out. So the best thing you can do is just educate people on why drawing a conclusion that something with a low sample size and this kind of win rate is not necessarily true, right? Or just like help people understand why the data is making such conclusions. And like we have a meta page for the average player to come in and just, you know, someone who doesn't spend all day watching streams like we do or play as much as we do, but and for people like us, but just, you know, someone could come in and say, okay, those look like some interesting decks. I love to try them. But that doesn't take away from all the people who are making new decks, and there's so many of them out that are not there, that are amazing. There's no Garen decks there, which I'm super upset about. So, but right. So I think it's not necessarily about that, and so we just have to understand what is it that we're looking for as a group and as a community. And if we don't do the data, someone else is going to like watch every game and put it out there or do something. And the information's going to spread.
It's there.
You might as well, you might as well design it in a way that basically allows you to elevate the community rather than bring it down. That's my take on it. I do understand that there's a lot of like I've seen some terrible analyses on Reddit based on our data already. So
what do you mean there was terrible analysis on Reddit?
Yeah, but people will always misuse data, and not just in this field, in every field in life, whether that's medicine, sports, video games, and they'll pretend like they're right and they'll be very confident, and then they'll sway other people too. So it's always a danger. You just have to just do your best to try and spread the good word.
And I'll also comment on this specifically for Magic the Gathering, because I think Magic the Gathering has an ulterior motive in what they're doing for their game specifically, because Legends of Runeterra and Hearthstone and any other digital card game has the advantage of being able to actually change their cards based on data, where Magic the Gathering can't do that. They have like 1.5 option, two and a half options. Option 1, do nothing and let it just play out. Option 2, errata that's the option 1.5 is errata a card, which
what's errata?
Errata is like essentially like changing how the card works without like printing it differently, because you can't go back and it's basically like nerfing a card.
They have a tough challenge.
They can't do that.
Since there's stuff on paper.
It happens very, very, very infrequently that they'll errata something. Because like you can't print the new cards. You can't go back and like take a Sharpie and change all of the cards that are printed in paper. And then the other option is to ban the card, right? Which is what they essentially default to. So Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering, like the game came out, or the original game came out in 1993, right? That's in esports years, that's like 300 years, right? So a lot of things, and obviously the game has changed a lot since then, but there's a lot of things that are similar, and there's a lot of systems in Magic the Gathering that they are sort of grandfathered into. And Magic the Gathering was not and even the cards now are not designed in a way to be played 8 million times and have the perfect experience forever. Like, it's the same if you've ever played a tabletop board game, like Settlers of Catan, for instance, a very popular one. When you play your first game of Settlers of Catan, that might be a really, really cool experience. When you play your second game, it might be a really cool experience. You start to build a metagame with your friends. If you play with the same group of people in Settlers of Catan like 10 times, the game's pretty much solved. Like, Settlers of Catan was not designed to be played 800 times with the same people.
That's a good point.
That's not what that game is for. Like, you're supposed to play another game. And in 1993, I don't think that they planned on people, millions of people playing hundreds of thousands of games a day to be like, oh, okay, well, actually you need to be running 24 lands, not 23. Like, that type of thing. Even back, even 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when there was tournaments being played, like, I remember when the Star City Games tournaments, the weekly Star City Games Opens happened, like, people were complaining, like, oh my God, Caw-Blade is the most broken thing ever. This was probably 2012 or 2013, I'm thinking, maybe 2011, which, again, in esports years is a very long time, but to me, it doesn't feel like it's that long. Like, that environment is so different than what we have now, but even then, it was like, the amount of games and the visibility of those games and the visibility of decks was just so much higher. Like, we saw the results of tournaments as they were happening, and there was 2 tournaments a week, big tournaments with hundreds or thousands of players, versus like the decks you would see were like the Grand Prix that they played like 1 or like 2 a month. And there's a top 8 list that you could get on the internet. And then also, like, if a Star City, like, if a professional writer wrote about a deck, you'd have that deck list. And, like, there was literally a physical magazine that had deck lists in it as well. Like, if you can think, like, that was when I was playing Magic back in 2003 or whatever, when I started playing. Like, you compare opening up the Duelist magazine versus I can go to I can go to MTG Goldfish right now, which has every single Magic Online event that's fired off, every 5-0 deck, collated and all that. It's like, it's different, and Magic was like, it's the same game in those 2 instances. So I think Magic is trying to cover their own ass here, honestly. Like,
that sounds very logical. I don't know enough about Magic. That's crazy that, like, they decide, hey, we're gonna limit data, right?
Well, they're trying to do that right now. They, like, one of the, like, main, like, data guys, Frank Karsten, who's a former pro player. He, like, works, I don't know if he works for Wizards or if he's just like a person they use a lot for their coverage. Like, he's the stats guy that looks and, like, oh, you should actually be running 16.3 lands here, and, like, if you, like, uses a lot of data and whatnot. And they, like, he put out a tweet recently that was like, yeah, Wizards doesn't want me sharing the deck lists from this event and, like, doing an analysis of the deck lists in this event. It's like,
yep.
So
it's rough, man.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're trying to close Pandora's box a little bit, which I get why they're doing it. They basically don't want to get exposed, right? Because the more, like, if you think about it, for any game like this, you play 10 trillion games, right? If you have a huge sample size, like, there's going to be a meta. Unless the game's perfectly balanced, it's not going to be, right? There's going to be a meta that boils to the top.
And the meta is kind of the illusion that, it's not an illusion, but it's not so fixed in stone. Yeah, it's a self-fulfilling. Like, everyone thinks the meta is Ionia Hecarim, and that's what it became, but it's a good deck, but you don't have to be there. All you got to do is step one step outside, take a look, and say, this is what I'm going to do. Right. And you don't have to be a meta slave. There's a reason why the meta is the meta, but there are reasons why great players can do great things even within potentially stale metas.
Yeah. It's like, do you really think that the deck that Dog plays on the ladder in Hearthstone is always the best deck? Or is it that people watch his stream and build the deck and everyone plays it and half of those people win the mirror matches, so it has a 52% win rate, so it's really good and people think it's broken? Or do you think that people just copy that deck? So that's I mean, we could do a whole episode on that, but that's our thoughts there. I think that's a really my closing thoughts. You can't close Pandora's box. Don't take, like, you can't, like, the data's there. Like, let's do what we can to get the best out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. That's fascinating, that Magic history lesson. I didn't know much about. I never grew up playing Magic. Like, the guys in the office talk about it, but I don't know enough. Right?
It's a great. It's it's a great. It can be a great experience. But also you can get sucked in and spend bajillion on
Yes, you
foils.
can.
Do you guys mind if I ask how much you've personally spent on Magic?
Over
Like,
the years,
neighborhood.
man.
Yeah.
Well, I think I had a Magic the Gathering collection that I sold years ago for like $8K. So, and it probably that was just my online collection. It's a lot of money. I don't even. I honestly couldn't even tell you. And like, do I count the booster packs I got for Christmas when I was 15? Or like, it's some incalculable amount. I have no idea.
When I was buying my house I live in now, for my mortgage, I sold some Magic decks to pay for my mortgage.
Wow, so they do make a killing though, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. In the secondary market too. That, like, it's big. Magic's a very interesting thing. Okay. Let's
ask a couple of these direct questions.
Yeah, go for it.
They're pretty simple. So Ardrick asks for you, Uthgar. Will the Mobalytics desktop app soon have the ability to track individual decks' win and loss information? Currently, it gives a list of region combinations that you've played and their win-loss stats. But if I play more than one, say, Freljord or Demacia deck, it seems to just bundle them into one.
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's the obvious thing to do. We're working on it, and I was just mocking up on the board. Like, I think whenever we make a new feature, we try and think through all the different ways which you want to see it. It's like, hey, why can't I just see this single deck? But like, do you really want to see like every single time you play and tweak one card as it changes? So we have to like bundle it, group it, create like a really nice experience for you to be able to see it and then to analyze it. So I think sometimes I wish as a team we just release janky shit right away, but I'm glad that my partner thinks the way he does, because like for me, I would just say, oh yeah, put it out there.
Yeah, throw it, let's go.
Let's go. Right. But the truth is that you've got to think through all those miniature details.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's definitely, so the next feature I'll just say that we're planning on releasing is a complete stats set of stats pages, and it's really super cool. So anyone can go in and they can check like, what's the win rate of Demacia Freljord when it's running Garen, when it's not, right? Mm-hmm. Like all these different things. And then the next feature after that will be the improvements to your match history, your profile, and your deck tracker. Nice. So that's kind of, at least right now, how we see ourselves evolving in that landscape.
Very cool.
So it's a great question. It's coming soon, man. And just so you guys know, the actual information that's available to us from the client is extremely limited. So we're doing a lot of interpolation to try and actually get the stats that we do.
Yeah, that was actually another part of Rumsey's question, was asking like, what, like, are you guys hiding stuff to like preserve the health of the game? But it sounds like you're actually doing more with what you're actually getting than
us hiding. Are you kidding? No way, dude. That's not how. We don't roll that way, right? But, you know, if every time I make a Reddit post and I say, like, here's the data, I strongly encourage people to just come to their own conclusions and think through stuff. We're not here to tell you guys, like, obviously we do try and say what's good, what's not, and try and guide people, but we completely admit that there's so much opinions and things that could be good and better that we just don't know about. And so we really encourage people to get into it and come up with their stuff and share them with everyone else. We want to create a place for people to share what they're looking for and their thoughts. And so that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that what he's kind of referring to is like, if you technically have the ability to like pull your opponent's hand or something, like where you'd be able to like use the tracker, like does it have the capability to do something like that? And you're saying that it's actually like you're actually doing
you have actually no data on the opponent.
Yeah.
So we're detecting what cards they play and hodgepodging, putting it together. So
Right.
let's say your opponent is playing a Noxious Demacia deck. We don't actually know that. And
Right.
so if they play 20 Noxious cards that don't get to Demacia, we label that as a mono Noxious deck.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right. So we have no information on the opponent.
It's probably good because, you know,
Yeah.
people would exploit that.
Yeah.
For
super
sure.
easily.
Probably, see, Riot's thinking ahead here. They know people are going to.
Well, I mean, the way Hearthstone solves it is at the end of the game, they give you the deck list for the opponent, and then you just add that to the data.
Okay.
Right. So it's definitely solvable, but right. I mean, like this is a young game with many features that aren't there.
Yeah,
right.
it's not even out yet.
Yeah.
All right, I think we have one more from Aquatic Flames.
Yeah, we got one. We got time for one more.
It's a quick one. So Aquatic Flames asks, could Mobalytics post the weekly Masters data somewhere so as a community could see it? So we as a community could see it.
We do usually. We'll post it on Reddit every week. I'm happy to send it here too, John, and you guys can share it in the Discord for your fan base, but we post it on Reddit every week.
There you go.
Yeah.
Keep. Yeah, I know. I see that. That's almost. I wonder if they asked that as a little toss up there, a little alley,
as a like
little softball for you to knock to knock out of the park.
Okay, nice. I like those.
Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I know we already got all the hard hitting ones out at the beginning, but that is going to bring us right up to time. Uthgar, thank you so much for being on, man. It was a blast.
Yeah, thank you so much,
guys. It's a hell of a pleasure. It's fun just coming on and just chatting. You guys are cool.
We get to just talk about the game.
We get to
just talk about the
talk
about life.
It's true. Oh wait, we should before we go, we should talk. Well, I mean, I want to talk about because I won the game, but we ended up randomly facing each other in the 6-win finals of an expedition. And spoilers, you were running a Demacia deck.
Who would have thought, right?
Your deck was insane.
You were running a Teemo deck.
I was.
My arch nemesis.
I know. It was great. I actually, this is completely, obviously we can't choose who we play against an expedition, but we did get that on the last, the expedition video I posted, so you can check that out. But your deck was insane. My deck was also insane. It was like, I think I had 3 Teemos in that deck. I'm like, I saw it. I'm like, Uthgar, huh? I wonder if that's him. I messaged you on Discord and you like get back to me. You're like, oh yeah, I did play something.
I was probably playing on a call. Like Expedition's the best to play on a call. Yeah. You just like, these are my cards. I don't have to think about what the other person's running because they're not running like a meta deck, right?
Right. So, my 4 Teemo deck definitely was not meta. But before we go, Uthgar, anything you want to shout out, sell out, plug? And obviously we've been talking about Mobalytics the whole time, but anything else you want to?
My banner man just failed. What a great note to leave on.
The failure of the banner man. That might be.
God!
Subtitle there.
It's the worst feeling ever, guys. You know that feeling? It's just when your allegiance doesn't work and it's like a 3 in 35 chance. Like, why the fuck wouldn't it work? It's not
every time.
Well, the funny thing, this is a little hidden gem that you guys maybe didn't know. You know how Wraithcaller, when you play it, it makes that like weird squealing noise, like it's like a really weird, like a Wraithcaller-y noise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The card doesn't actually make the sound when it misses. The sound just goes off in your head because that's what you're thinking.
Oh. It's the same with the banner man. He has that ching kind of sound where everyone gets buffed. Yeah.
So good, but
that's awful.
Yeah, that is a feels bad. And speaking of
2, my second one just failed. I'm only running 3 cards.
Wow. I mean,
this is just grounds for quitting.
Yeah. Yep. Shutting it down. This is the end. Yeah, we're
Runeterra sucks.
We're taking the app out. Yeah, we're uninstalling the game from life. But that it before we cause Uthgar to miss any more Bannerman flips, we're going to end it here. Thank you again, Uthgar, for coming on the show, guys. Make sure you check out Mobalytics. Is it mobalytics.gg? Yes, go there for League, for Legends of Runeterra, for TFT. They just got out the set 3 stuff for TFT. So if you're a
so
TFT
excited.
person, you're going to want to check that out. We talked about that on Little Legends podcast yesterday. But Saucy, where can people find you on the internet when they're not here listening to Runeterrable?
You just find me Saucy Mailman on YouTube and on Twitch. I'm very profound on Twitch and get that big knowledge. Just kidding. I'm usually playing Teemo and Kalista. So
Ooh, Teemo Kalista, that sounds fun.
We've been trying to make it work. It doesn't, but it doesn't at all. But yeah, I put out a lot of YouTube
That
videos.
sounds like a good one. I mean, we had an argument in the office the other day that Kalista can't be used, and I said I think Kalista can be used, and there was some guy I think Astrogation or someone.
Slept on. She's
I have, okay, the best I've gone with her. This is for you guys trying to make Kalista work, because I'm trying real hard. PNZ Kalista is not bad. You play her in a burn deck. And then with Atrocity as a finisher. It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, that extra fearsome is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Or 2 fearsome for 3 is not too bad.
And you get 3 get excited, 3 mystic shots.
Silent Air brings up Kalista on Boom Crew. Seems pretty strong.
Yep.
Pretty strong. Okay.
Yep. I was going to say running her with a PNC aggro is really strong.
It's not bad.
Let's
not good, but it's not bad.
Guys, if you post your best PNZ Kalista aggro decks at discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. That's where you can find me all the time. We got a super active community. Make sure you're going there. If you're not already, if you're listening on Podcast World, go there. Join the Discord and hit up the YouTube as well. I'm putting out some new videos, some expedition videos. I'm trying to do 1 a week. So far, I've kept up with that for the YouTube. So check that out. But guys, that's gonna be it for Saucy Mailman, for Uthgar. I am Blevins, and we will see you guys next week as we talk about some more stuff.
Thanks for having me, guys.
See
Always
ya.